Okay, good afternoon, Miss and everyone. Group 3 was tasked to look at Cycadophyta or Cycads. My group members include myself, Rashmi, Divina, Jasmine, Purnima, and Nemesis. In this presentation, we will look at the taxonomy, structure, and ecology of Cycadophyta. Firstly, we will look at what are gymnosperms. So the word gymnosperms comes from the Greek word that is naked and seed, thus known as naked seed. They are considered to be seed-producing plants. However, unlike angiosperms, gymnosperms most likely produce seeds that do not harvest fruit. These plants are considered to be developed on the surface that is found on either scales or leaves, or at the end of stalks, which would most likely form a cone-like structure. Gymnosperms are considered to belong to the kingdom Plantae and the subkingdom Embryophyta. The fossil evidence of this suggests that they are originated from the Paleozoic era. Basically, gymnosperms are considered to be plants in which the ovules are not enclosed within the ovary wall, unlike the angiosperm. It is said that it is said to remain exposed before and after the fertilization process and then before developing into a seed. The family of gymnosperms consists of conifers, the cycads, the meteophytes, and the species of Ginkgophyta division and Ginkgo biloba. The diagram basically describes what a gymnosperm looks like. Now let us have an overview of the classification of gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are classified into four groups. These include Cycadophyta, Ginkgophyta, Meteophyta, and Conionophyta. Now, Cycadophyta or cycads are considered to be individual plants that are either all male or all female. Don't worry, my colleagues and I will talk more about this specific type in our presentation. The diagram basically shows what Cycadophyta looks like. Now, Ginkgophyta is considered to be another class of gymnosperms. These are considered to have only one living species. All other members of this class are now extinct. The ginkgo tree are categorized by their large size and their fan-like leaves. Also, they have a large number of applications ranging from medicine to cooking. The diagram shows what the Ginkgophyta looks like. Now, the Meteophyta, just like any other member of gymnosperm, are considered to be relics from the past. Today, only 3 members of this genus exist. They are usually consist of tropical plants, trees, and scrubs. They are categorized by their flowering leaves that have soft coating. The diagram basically shows what Nepophyta looks like. Lastly, we have the Conionophyta, and these are the most commonly known species among the genusperm family. They are evergreen, hence they do not shed their leaves in the winter. These are mainly categorized by their male and female cones, which form needle-like structure. The diagram basically shows what the Conionophyta looks like. I will now hand you over to my colleague.
What is Cycadophyta? Cycadophyta are primitive palm-like plants that inhabit tropical and subtropical regions. They are used as houseplants and in residential landscaping. It is an evergreen gymnosperm that has most primitive living seed-bearing plants on Earth. They can reproduce when mature by the production of cones. Cycads are chiromastic plants occupying a special place in the botany because of their ancient fossil record, extending back over 250 million years. Cycads are actually a unique assemblage of plants, and although they are grouped with the gymnosperm, meaning their unfertilized eggs are open to the air to be directly fertilized by pollination. Cycads are basically woody plants that are either male or female. Thank you, and I'll hand you over to my other colleague.
Okay, now we will look at some characteristics of Cycadophyta. Now, these may include that they have palm-like appearance, that they reproduce with cones, they're considered to have poisonous attributes, and they basically have a slow growth. I will now hand you over to my other colleague.
Taxonomy of Cycadophyta. The kingdom for Cycadophyta is called Plantae. Their subkingdom is called Plantae. Their infrakingdom is called Streptophyta. Their superdivision is called Embryophyta, division Tracheophyta, subdivision Spermatophytina, class Cycadopsida, subclass Cycadidae, order Cycadales, family Cycadaceae, and their genus is Cycas L. I'm now handing over to my next colleague.
We'll be looking at the structure of Cycadophyta. They are woody plants that produce seeds. They have roots, stem, leaves, and a reproductive structure or reproductive structures that are known as cones. The main root is thickened and fleshy. This is because they may have storage capacities that are often termed tuberous. They have contractile properties which serve to regulate the level of stem in the ground. They have specialized upgrowing branched roots known as colloid roots. These roots contain symbiotic blue-green algae which can fix nitrogen in the atmosphere. The stems may be completely subterranean or emerge from the ground and can be trunk-like. Soil depth may influence this development, and in shallow, stony soils, species which normally have subterranean stems may develop an above-ground trunk. The leaves are once divided, pinnate, and often develop an attractive palm-like crown. Those of Stangeria bear a strong resemblance to the fronds of a fern, whereas in the Australian genus Bowenia, the leaves are twice divided, bipinnate. They reproduce when they are mature by the production of cones. A plant is either a male or female, and the cones of each sex are usually quite different in size, shape, and color, but to a lesser extent. The specialized woody growths on the cone, which are called sporophylls, bear the sexual parts, with those of the male cone producing pollen, and on a female cone, they bear a large ovule, which, if fertilized, they develop into seeds. The seeds of cycads are relatively large and have an outer layer, sarcotesta, and are often colorful. Thank you. I'll now hand you over to my next colleague.
Ecology of Cycadophyta. Cycads are considered to be an ancient group of gymnosperms, which are said to be very toxic to certain animals and humans. All parts of the cycads are toxic, and they contain a toxin called cycocin, but the seed is known to have a higher amount of it. Cycocin is a carcinogenic and neurotoxic glucoside, and if ingested, it is known to cause vomiting, diarrhea, liver failure, seizures, or even death. And there is no specific antidote for it. Animals would be attracted to eat the leaves because it has a pleasant smell, making it an accidental ingestion. The second point, their pollination happens by beetles, but was once thought to be pollinated by wind. Beetles such as weevils and small bees would make a greater contribution to transferring the pollen. And some cycads would produce heat or odors that attract these animal vectors. Now, they were once thought to be pollinated by wind, but was discovered that cycads in the tropical forest would have little wind, and studies have shown that there is almost no cycad pollen present in the air. The next point, cycad seeds would attract birds and many other mammals that would aid them in dispersing their seeds. So the seeds of cycads are large and have a variety of bright colors that would attract these birds and mammals, which would disperse their seeds. They have cyanobacteria sheltered in their specifically modified roots. So the cycads shelter cyanobacteria in their roots that appear coral-like, and they are called colloid roots. They grow up out of the soil and are exposed to light, which the cyanobacteria needs. And in return of providing a stable habitat for it, the cycads would get nitrogen nutrients from the cyanobacteria. They grow in a variety of tropical and subtropical climates. So this means they have various habitats. Species can be found both in rainy and dry forests, and others would grow in grasslands and form a savanna. A species called Encephalorats grow in eastern Africa at very high elevation. Here they would live in extremely dry environments and would have low rainfall, harsh winds, and dry soil. And many cycads are seen to grow outdoors in places like California. And as of today, cycads are considered to be close to extinction because of their habitat and rate of reproduction. So they are in danger of extinction because they reside in endangered habitats such as tropical forests, and because their growth rate is relatively slow, and that they also hardly reproduce. Several species are already extinct in the wild, and many are under the threat of habitat destruction and collectors. To protect natural populations, 5 genera are covered by the international law prohibiting trade of their seeds in the wild. Thank you. I'll now hand you to my next colleague.
So to conclude this presentation, gymnosperm are plants that develop on the surface of scales or leaves or even at the very end of a stalk where it forms a cone-like structure. The 4 types of gymnosperms are Cycadophyta, Ginkgophyta, Metaphyta, and Coniferophyta. Cycadophyta are primitive plum-like plants that inhabit tropical and subtropical regions. Cycads are woody plants which have roots, stems, leaves, and a reproduction structure which are called cones. Cycads occupy a variety of ecological situations which ranges from the rainforest to the Mesophotic savannas to the near desert scrublands. Please note that some of these pronunciations that each of my group members pronounce are from different websites, so you may hear different pronunciation for the same words throughout this presentation. That's all for our presentation. Thank you for listening. And here are some references.
Thank you. This is the end of our presentation.